Hi, my name is Robin, and this is my journey of faith. I grew up in a Jewish home in upstate New York. It was a conservative Jewish home. I went to synagogue every week, went to Shabbat school, and being Jewish was very important to me. I was also taught that we as Jews were different than everybody else, and that I should never believe in Jesus because Jesus was not for us. That, in fact, many of the bad things done were done in His name. Things like the Holocaust, the pogroms, the Crusades, the Inquisitions. And so I grew up with a real hatred toward Jesus and towards Christians, Christianity. When I walked by a church, I would want to spit on it. I was pretty angry. I went to college and pursued my bachelor's degree in music, and there was a girl in the dorm next to me, and she told me that Jesus was the Jewish Messiah. I told her a few things, and I won't repeat them here now, but she told me that it really was a Jewish thing to believe in Jesus, and I got mad at her. And then I asked her a question. I said, "Are you going to tell me I'm going to hell if I don't believe in Jesus?" And she said, "Yes." Well, that really ticked me off. And so I told her to leave me alone, and as I was walking out of the room, she said, "I'm going to pray for you." I said, "Don't pray for me. I don't want your prayers." And she was just as feisty as I was and said, "I could pray if I want to. It's a free country." So she began to pray for me, and I actually prayed to God also, and I started to pray, "God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, please show me the truth, but please let it not be Jesus." So God answered my prayer, and there were several things that happened. I'll just tell you a couple. In an English class, we had to pick a subject out of a hat to write for our term paper, and I picked a subject that read, "How We Got the Devil." This paper was going to force me to read the Bible, and so I went out looking for the Jewish scriptures, just the Old Testament, and I couldn't find one. It always had the New Testament. I was not going to buy one. Well, then the Gideons came to our campus one day, and they handed out these little green New Testaments. And after I yelled at one Gideon and told him I wasn't interested, after a class, I changed my mind and I went out to a different Gideon, and I took a little green New Testament and I went into my dorm room and I began to read Matthew. And I was amazed at the Jewishness of Matthew, and I began to wonder why it was that I didn't believe in him. And then there was a man that came to our campus who was an atheist, and he sought to disprove Christianity, and in the process became a believer in Jesus. His name was Josh McDowell. And after hearing him speak, I knew that it was true. I knew that it would have taken more faith for me to believe that Jesus was not the Messiah than to believe that he was. And so a few nights after that, I was in my dorm and I talked to that same girl who originally talked to me. And after I knew it was true, about 3 or 4 hours later, I was ready to pray. But it took me a long time to actually say the name of Jesus, because for a Jewish person, sometimes that's not so easy. But I prayed with her to receive Jesus as my Messiah, telling God that I knew that I had done things wrong against Him. I believed that Jesus was the one who paid the price for all of those wrong things to make me right with God, and that He died, in fact, for all of those things. He was buried, and He rose from the dead. And after I prayed that prayer, I remember waking up the next morning and I was a different person. There was love, joy, and peace inside of me, and I knew that God had dramatically changed my life. And I want to encourage you, if you are seek the truth. There is truth. And if you want to know, ask God to show you the truth, because He will. He says, "If you seek me, you will find me." And I would not go back for anything in the world. I know that God is with me. He's my best friend, and I'm never alone. And in this world that we live, where we can be so isolated, it's good to know that there's a God who loves you and who cares about you. So I encourage you, just ask Him to show you, and take a look at the New Testament, take a look at the Old Testament. It has words of life. Thank you.